The thought for tonight that I want to highly encourage you to always be taking notes, And it's not because anything I say is just so magical that I think you need to write it down. It's just there are times where you will get an idea in your life that will totally change your future forever. And it could literally, you could have a spark, or you could have an ignition of a thought that could spark something in your mind that you just want to make sure you have a pen and paper that's ready. And I'll tell you, I'm looking right now actually at all of my journals. I keep them all in front of me because I reference them all the time. I'm talking like 20 journals over the last 7 years that I've been doing AdvoCare that are full, they're tabbed, they look beat up because they get used, they get opened, and I refer back to them often. Sometimes I realized that I wrote concepts down before the concept even applied to me, and then I went back to it when it did, and it really helped me. So the power concept for tonight is this. Every individual, every single one of us has the power to change our financial situation by simply changing the nature of our belief. Think about that. Each and every one of us, this is really how simple it is, yet it's not simple. Each and every one of us has the power to change our financial situation or any other situation. It could be health, it could be spiritual, it could be your marriage, it could be whatever you want. We all have the power to change whatever that situation is by simply first changing. What has to first change is the nature of our belief. So how do we change the nature of our belief? And you might be thinking, Greg, I got on this call to learn how to sell products. You're talking about belief. What are you talking about? Well, here's the thing. In order to sell a product, just as an example, you have to truly believe that it will change that person's life for the better, or else you will not be able to sell product. If you want to truly attract teammates on a business level, you have to wholeheartedly believe that this opportunity can change their life if they let it. So now you know. It's not about, you can get on this call tonight. You may have thought you got on this call tonight to learn some little script line that would help you sell a product, when in reality, there's no perfect script. It comes down to belief. In order to change our financial situation, first and foremost, we must change our belief. But the question becomes, and we have to constantly monitor, and the reason I'm so heavy on this topic tonight is because I've caught myself. I did it again. I caught myself letting my beliefs be guided by fear. It happens all the time for me. And it's not until I can sit back and look at it, or a close friend calls me out on it, that I realize it. And I've caught myself recently being guided by fear. And so I ask myself, is my current belief being guided by fear, or is it being guided by faith? Am I being guided by fear, or am I being guided by faith? Faith that it will work. Faith that I can be successful. Faith that if I get somebody on the products, I'll get results. Or do I have fear that I'm going to get an objection? Do I have fear that nobody wants to join? Do I have fear that nobody can afford our products? Do I have fear that everybody else, for some magical reason, isn't just like me? Everybody wants an opportunity. Everybody wants to feel better. Fact. I have those beliefs down. But there's certain other beliefs that I've caught myself in my journey, because every journey is literally just a bunch of these mini little journeys where you have to overcome the next belief. And so as I've thought about this concept, for me personally, I've started looking at the teammates that I'm helping. And I ask myself, are they being guided by fear or by faith? Far too often, I find that it's fear. Give you an example. Somebody schedules a mixer 2 weeks out. I already know I'm in trouble because they're saying, well, is Tuesday better or is Wednesday better? What do you think about 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock? Should we do it on Sunday? Well, I think there's a football game that night. That's all fear first. But then I finally get them to overcome that. And I say, you know what? Let's just do it on Tuesday because there's no perfect day. Then it gets a week close to the mixer. And now all of a sudden, they're like, well, I'm not sure if anybody's going to show up. Well, I got this back from them, and they're not going to show up. And now all of a sudden, fear takes over, and they cancel the mixer. I don't know if you've ever had that happen to you or if you've ever done it. I've been guilty of it in the past. Absolutely. But what I encourage you as teammates to do, and I'm doing this myself, is I'm asking, is that action guided by fear or faith? I just had a mixer recently, last week, and I had the fear that nobody was going to show up. I really did. And the person who's holding the mixer really had the fear that nobody was going to show up, which made my fear amplified, like, oh, gee, if the host doesn't think anybody's going to show up, then I sure as heck don't. Fortunately, we still held the mixer. I still showed up on time. I still set up the products as if the president was going to walk in the door. It looked immaculate. And sure enough, my faith trumped my fear. 3 people show up. All 3 people sign up. All 3 people buy product. My faith won. Now, sometimes I lose and nobody does show up. But guess what? I will still make use of that time. And me as a sponsor, I don't necessarily mind if nobody shows up because I will make sure that my distributor gets the best training, the best one-on-one training right then and there in place of that mixer. I will connect with them and we'll create a relationship and we will dream bigger than we have ever dreamed before together during that time. But a couple other little examples of living by fear. Not making the phone call. Thought about this today. I wanted to make a call yesterday, actually. I got nothing to lose. And I didn't make the call yesterday. And today I'm kicking myself in the rear end. I'm like, I got to make this call. Because what I realized is that I lose either way if I don't make the call. If I'm afraid of the no, well, guess what? If I don't make the call, I don't have to worry about the no because I'm basically giving it to myself. So what's better, to get an honest, sincere no and put yourself out there and start getting better and having faith that people are going to follow along, or hiding in my office and not picking up my phone and dialing the number? That's a simple way that I get caught up in fear. I don't know about you. Yours might be the mixer thing. Yours might be, well, nobody has $2,100 to go to Advisor. Yes, they do. People, if you walk inside most Americans' homes today, they have big old flat screen TVs. I sure do. And I can tell you those TVs aren't cheap. Even if you put them on whatever, layaway, or you put it on your Best Buy card, you're paying for it. I also know that people drive pretty nice vehicles. I also know that people have money for what they value. People have money for what they value. So, you have to learn how to make them value what AdvoCare can do for them. That's a whole other training within itself that I don't have time to go into, but I want to sow the seed of that concept. They must see value before they'd be willing to give over any form of money for anything. There has to be value. But I'm telling you what, I see the numbers, I see the fireballs, I see who has faith because I see their numbers. And they're all on the recognition list because they have faith and they're out there getting it done. So, we got to step towards faith and out of fear. Faith is going to be scheduling that mixer and keeping it on the calendar no matter what. No matter what. An hour before and everybody cancels, you're still going. Keep it on the calendar. Do the correct follow-up the next day. I promise it'll work out. I see it every time. The people who don't come, they don't know who else didn't come. They don't know if your mixer was a success or if it was a flop. They don't need to know. Follow up. But schedule the mixer and keep it no matter what. Get on a training call. You might think you've heard it all before. You might think you know everything there is to know about AdvoCare. But get on the calls with faith that you might get one nugget out of that next call. You might hear one concept that will change your life forever. It might happen on that call. And what if you miss it? What if you miss it? So I'm telling you, there's a force out there that would love for you to miss it. It's always working against you. Start having faith that people can afford what they put value in. Get people to see value in the solutions that can be provided to them through AdvoCare. Here's one. Faith looks like this. Faith looks like this. Now, I see, if you haven't gone through newdistrovertquickstart.com just yet, I would highly encourage it because the ones who are going through it are the ones that I'm seeing on my recognition list. And I see people's goals. And I would venture to say 50% of the time, most people don't fill out their goals on there. They leave the generic input that's in there. You want to know how I know if somebody's going to succeed or not right out of the gate? Is if they put their goals in public. If they put their goals out there. See, in AdvoCare, we teach how to package your story. And in the last step of the story, we teach, tell them where you are going. By this time next year, I plan to be making $5,000 per month. Here's why. It's faith. It's putting your goal out there. Have you wrote your goal down? If you haven't wrote your goal down, just a little gut punch, if you haven't wrote it down, you are fearful of doing it because you don't know if you can achieve it. If you live by faith, you will write it down. And by writing it down, you will gain more faith. I promise you. I was just looking the other day, actually right here. Hear this? Listen, right there. This check here, I wrote to myself for $30,000 for AdvoCare 1 month. I wrote it to myself. That was my goal. This one here, I wrote on July 1st, 2012 for $40,000, AdvoCare 1 month. On my dry erase board right now, I have written $80,000 per month, consistent, because we've hit that. We earned $85,000 last month, but I want it consistent, so I put my goal there. But I tell you that because here's the thing. Here's a lesson. My first one goes all the way back. 2007, I wrote one for $500. My limit, this goes back to the very first thing that I talked about, is that we first must change our belief, right? And the limit that we have for whatever that belief might be is ultimately set upon ourselves. I've had a limit of $30,000. I reached it. I scratched it out, kept it as a memento, but then I wrote the next goal. So your goal, whatever you have faith for, might be $200. Write it down. And then when you get to 200, write 3. Write 500. Whatever it is, write your incremental way up to success. Now, you might have amazing faith and belief right out of the gate. And if you do, congratulations. Write it down. You want $10,000 a month and you see it, then go get it and write it down. But have faith for it. Have faith. So, I was going to read this little quote. Here, this is what I was saying. This is by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill, by the way, if you want books that will just change, they'll just blow your mind. Anything Napoleon Hill will blow your mind, and it will raise your level of faith higher than you ever believe is possible. He says, your only limitation is the one which you set up in your own mind. Your only limitation is what you set up in your own mind. It's not what I set up, it's what you set up. It's what my only limitation is what I set up in my own mind. So, have faith, believe. And if you need help with believing, there are some great resources, and I will post them in the Facebook tribe tonight. They come from Matt. Matt Warren's my sponsor. One of them is called The 7 Reasons Why AdvoCare. And I've read these so many times to really help my belief. And in short, number 1 says, we offer products that improve the quality of life. So it goes back to the first thing I said, is you have to believe that the products will change somebody's life. It goes into, we own a business that's duplicatable. Meaning we own a business that anybody can do if they really want to. We have the training available to where there's no excuse not to be able to do it. It comes down to the limit that you set upon yourself. This is the one that I like and I hold a lot of value to with our group specifically, is we are a part of a team of people with the same ideals and value. And I know all these names that I wrote down that are silver distributors and higher, I know who they are. I know what they believe. I know what they value. And I know what their faith is. And hopefully some of that will rub off on you. So I'll post this up in the group. There's another one called The Core Beliefs, and it's quite the document. But if you need help with belief, one of the ways to do that is to read some of these things every single day. So fear or faith, which one's it going to be?